thank you very much for coming in. There's a few people saying hi, and welcome to another version of Old Guard New Blood. And this time we've got the remote working edition, which we're all getting pretty accustomed to now. And I'm really delighted to have another bunch of experts in here again. This show, just before I get started, sponsored by Majestic. Absolutely delighted that Majestic keep on letting me put this on every month. So in spite of my technical mess-ups, so if you haven't had the opportunity, or if you haven't seen the Brighton SEO post, there's a brand new training course that's just come out through the Academy at Brighton SEO for link training. It's free. It's got me and Sante Achille putting it together, and good couple of hours of video on link training. So please do register for that, and do try out Majestic's new keyword generation tools and stuff as well. So thanks to Majestic, and hi to you guys. Hello Gareth, hello Joe, hello Aleyda, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm very, very well. Listen, do you guys want to give a very short introduction about yourselves? So I'm going to go from top right and top left on mine. So Gareth, why don't you go first?
Of course.
Because no one knows you. So.
Well, hopefully they don't in this crowd. Otherwise, my job here is done. So I've been running agencies for the last 15 years. I have taken my staffing up to multiple hundreds of people running 3 shifts a day, 7 days a week, down to I currently have 15 people based in one office in the UK and a handful of people offshore that we just do some data work. So
you've been managing remote workers for forever, really?
Since at least 2008. Before that, I used to work for General Electric, and I don't
need to know that. That sounds pre-internet, mate.
I was still managing remote workers. But,
okay. All right. Okay. Fair enough then. Fair enough. And then Aleyda, you've just started up Remotist.net. So tell us about yourself and your experience with remote working.
Yes. Well, I started working remotely when I was still an employee in-house, and then also at an agency in 2012 it was. Then when I became independent, I realized in 2014 already, I realized that if I wanted to start something on my own, remote was a requirement. I really enjoyed working remotely. So I have been working remotely for myself since that year. And then after years passed by, I started working with more people, and I have a couple of people working with me, supporting me with clients, and we are all spread out. One of the persons is in France, another is in Mexico, and the clients that I consult with are from all over, a lot of them in the US, in Asia, here in Europe. So yes, pretty much remote. And then it was in 2015 that along a friend, SEO friend, we realized that a lot of people were asking us, how do you do to work remotely, right? And we founded Remoters that year, and it started by sharing a few insights, how-to guides to how to work remotely at that point. And now we have a free job board for anybody can upload, can publish their remote job openings, a lot of how-to guides, tools, resources section, co-livings, events section. So the goal of the website is to really, for anybody who wants to start working remotely, whether an organization or an independent consultant or an employee, they have all of the resources that they need to start doing it so through the website.
Okay, so can you put the domain into the panel as well, so then chat, just so that people can grab it. And Joe, while we're doing that, Joe, why don't you talk about yourself? You're remoting as well, and also you're doing a survey.
Yes, thank you very much. Hi, I'm Joe Juliana Turnbull, also known as SEO Joe Blogs. Thank you very much for having me on today. Dixon, yes, I've been working off and on actually since 2010. But actually, I wanted to work remote from when I was young. We moved around a lot, many different countries, which we were lucky for. But as a kid, sometimes you just want to stay in one country. So I remember I was about 8, and I remember asking my dad, well, why do you have to move all the time? Why can't we just stay in one place? So I didn't know remote working existed then. But I always knew I wanted, as a grown-up, as a kid, you always think as a grown-up you can do whatever you want. As a grown-up, I wanted to be able to choose where I lived. So yeah, 2010, I started doing remote working. And then I was in Australia for some time. I'm Australian as well. And then I've recently moved to Barcelona. So I set up my remote working business in now 3 countries. Yeah, I really want to actually find out from people if they have saved any resources. So many people talk about money. Oh, it costs a lot, you know, to commute, for example, to London or to New York or Sydney. But no one talks that much about how much that's worth in terms of money, your time. I know in the UK, when I was commuting into London, sometimes it could take 60 hours a month, but no one's going to give you that extra pay for that 60 hours. And they're not going to take that into account. You know, you could get to the office at 9, but you've had to leave your house at 7:15. So I've done a remote working survey and we've had quite a few people respond. I am 131 to be precise, but would love to have some more. Because I wanted to find out really from everyone, how much resources you saved, what activities you've done, are you going to continue to do this? And I am pleased to see that companies will be embracing remote working, but I just wished it hadn't have been because of a pandemic. I really wish companies had, you know, embraced it before and not that you were being lazy for not wanting to come into the office. So I'll share that stat, the link in there too.
Yeah, if you put the link to the poll in there, that'd be absolutely brilliant. Then we can anybody that has the opportunity to fill out the survey, it's going to be great. And hopefully, when we've got some results and things for it, you can let us know at Majestic, and we'll put it on the Majestic blog as well. So that's good. Okay, right. So remote work. I think we got some pretty much some experts in remote working here, and I'm not. I mean, Majestic was built up with people on the ground, and you know, I enjoyed the idea of an office. So although remote working for me individually has been you know, something I've done quite a lot, as you know, going through life, I've kind of had the opposite approach, and lockdown has kind of opened my eyes to the power of remote working. So really, guys, I'm going to start off with one tip, one sentence tip of your best tip for remote working, how to, whether as a remote worker or as a remote manager. Can you give me one tip? And Aleyda, let's start down with you.
Yeah, I think it's important for me to always start by clarifying that remote work is about being location independent, right? And that is a great power, but it's also a great responsibility, right? And it's critical that you are self-aware, that you have self-discipline, that you manage your time well, that you keep productive, that you understand based on your own personalities and characteristics and the type of work you do, what works better for you. And this is the thing, as humans and as employees who are sometimes very used to work and in office, we have allowed others telling us how to do it. But if you are working remotely, then it's up to you to choose if, based on your own characteristics and character, and you prefer to stay at home working all the time, or if you prefer to go to a co-working space or to go to a coffee shop, or if you are an extrovert, an introvert, right? Because a lot of people think automatically that remote is about working from home and or working by yourself all the time. So, how people do to socialize. And this is the thing. It's about having flexibility, and it's about doing it so whenever you feel more comfortable. But again, you then need to be able to make sure that your internet works well, that you can be able to concentrate, that you are in a space that allows you to keep productivity, that you're able to disconnect at the end of the day also, and to keep a good work-life balance. So all of that is in your hands, and that is why it's super important that my recommendation will be for organizations to update their protocols, their policies, their guidelines for their employees, for their teams, to facilitate all of this for them, because it's quite new.
That's more than one. That's more than one.
Yes. And on the other hand, if you work for yourself, then there are many tactics that I can discuss later to facilitate this self-discipline and control and be able to have a good balanced life. And at the end of the day, enjoy of the profits and benefits of remote work, right? Rather than only facing the backlash that a lot of people can think about. Yeah.
Gareth, what about you?
Wow, yeah, how do I follow that? So love you really, Aleyda. My one big tip really is to have empathy with your remote workers situation. I think from a short-term perspective, it was relatively easy for me to split from office to remote. I just bought myself a desk and put it in one of my spare rooms. There are other people that are living in shared houses. There are people that are living in a house without an empty room that you can make an office, or even a dining table that you can sit on. So I think short-term, be kind to people, because, you know, my kids haven't been to school for months. Like, they are literally feral now. I'm surprised one of
but they're your kids, Gareth. They're bound to be.
For those of you that come to the Corona pub Thursday night is quiz night. Occasionally my kids will just jump behind me, and that's how I work now. And that is my working life. We have to look post-COVID, because look, this thing is going to end. And I think with long-term planning, if you're employing people, so I think there's going to be a trend where people are initially going to employ more remote staff further east than I am currently sat. Now, that comes with its own challenges. So reliability of power supply, reliability of internet speed, reliability of that. How much effort has that employee made to get to his desk that morning? And there are things that we just wouldn't understand in the West that somebody maybe in South Asia has to go through just to get online. So I would hate for people to be sharp with each other when it's not easy. Not everybody is finding this transition as simple as they may appear. So empathy, please, guys.
Okay, and Joe, what's your one tip? Although this seems to be like several tips bunged into the intro, so you know, but that's okay. It's not a problem.
Thanks. Well, I would basically say to treat your home office, and when I say your home office, it can be your desk, it can be anywhere where you're not working in that old-fashioned or the traditional office that you had before. So treat your home office as your proper office. So the office that you would actually, or the work office that you would commute to, and where you do the work inside those four walls. And the reason why I say that was because just because you're not spending 3 hours a day commuting to town, doesn't mean that you can extend your working day. I think what you need to do, and ties into what Aleyda said, is to be organized. So I would say you do your 8 hours. Yes, you can sometimes do a bit more than that, but don't make it do that all the time. So do your 8 till 4 or your 9 till 6, or, you know, take a long lunch break. But really, I would say it's about but before we had the things of, you know, having your email connected to your mobile phone, or being able to access your work email, and you'd be sending emails on the train in the morning or late at night. No, just don't do that. Try and have that disconnect. Again, going back to what Aleyda said, you know, you need to have your 8 hours. If you are working 12 hours a day in front of the computer and you're not getting up because you're not going to buy lunch because you have it right in the fridge, you know, then you're not going to feel very well at all, mentally and physically. So really just stick to pretend your home office, so that could be your desk, your co-working, wherever it is within an 8 hour window, or you do 4 hours and a long lunch break and another 4 hours. Don't send emails past 9 p.m. Don't send emails before 6 a.m.
Okay, I'm going to add as my one tip, if you're as old as me, make sure you get a decent chair. Honestly, sitting in that chair, it can really do your back in pretty damn quick. So if you can get a decent chair, and honestly, I've just moved I did have an office chair, and I've now put in a dining room chair because it's more solid, it's better, and it's just doing my back more good. Okay, just before...
At headphones too, sometimes to isolate and be able to concentrate also is important.
Yeah. I mean, on that point that you just made there, Gareth, about being kind, we've got a question in here from Rohan. Recently, I got rejected in an interview which was remote based, and the reason was that the organization said it's mandatory mandatory to have a separate office room to work from at home, which he doesn't have at this time. So the question is that a common ask in most of the remote jobs to have a separate office room?
No, because so we don't really consider it work from home. We consider it work from anywhere. So already one of my head of paid is moving to Porto on the 1st of November. I've got no idea where he's going to be living.
Yeah.
But as long as he has the internet, it doesn't matter. Like I'm going, my motorcycle is getting serviced tomorrow. I'm going to take my laptop on my back and I'm going to get a coffee and I'll just work while it's getting serviced. Like I think long term, if the employee is going to be based in that one remote location, then yeah, absolutely. I have a duty of care. And at the start of lockdown, I made all of my team send me a picture of their working environment. I then gave each person a kitty to upgrade their work from home setup. So some people took a new router because they just had the piece of crap that came with the ISP. Some people took a chair, as you say, Dixon, because some people were literally working on
sofas,
stools, like a makeup desk stool type of thing. One person had his laptop perched on top of their chest of drawers, so that there was no leg space underneath. Well, I'm a man that's all about efficiency, and if you're not sat comfortably, you're not being efficient. So I spent about 300 quid on noise cancelling headphones, and thank you, kind words. Sofa wants to come and work for me. It's all about just getting you all to work a bit harder, to be honest. Is the reality.
But I have to say, like, responsible remote working organizations do what Gareth is doing, right? They care about the resources that they provide, and they actually have an stipend because they realize that they are not paying for an office anymore, such a big office as before, right? So they allocate money and an stipend to make their employees and their team to be able to have a great connection at home, to have a great desk, a good laptop. That should be provided ideally by the organization, right? And this is what I am afraid, right? There are a lot of organizations that have just jumped into remote because of COVID, but they don't have that mindset and they don't have the right protocols or principles. And then they start requiring all this stuff without realizing that they should be the ones giving this to the employee or their team. If the organization, and this is the thing, whenever I work with clients and have worked for a lot of clients and companies that I don't think that they ever knew where I was. And it shouldn't matter to them, what Gareth said before. It should be transparent or the same for them if I am connecting from New Zealand or from Spain or from the US. And sometimes I did at 1 a.m. just to not change the schedule time, right? And I keep doing it. And for them, it was exactly the same. I was able to do my work as good anywhere from the world. So as long as I am able to do that, it should be exactly the same for them. However, if they do require something specific, you should have this type of connection or this type of environment. Okay, perfect. Pay it. I mean, give it to your employees. Yeah. That should be it. Yeah.
Joe, I'll come on in a second. I'll come to you next. So just because I want to get onto your survey and find out a few questions about your survey. But one thing that's different in the UK, Tova's in the US, of course. So and we're in the UK. In the UK, of course, I don't know how it works in the US, but there's quite a lot of laws around your employees. The fact that they're not in your office actually makes it harder in many ways, because you still have to have public liability over them. Your insurance policy may not cover that. You still have to have risk assessments on their working environment, and as you say, duty of care. And there's all sorts of problems with data privacy and things when you're starting to share it out around the internet as well. So there are quite a lot of laws that are protecting or should be protecting, but I think with COVID they haven't quite caught up with the speed at which we've all been moved into remote working. So Joe, sorry, feel free to answer that, but then or add on. But what I really wanted to get on to was the survey as you've got so far. What are the findings that you've made so far from those 120 odd people?
Yeah, thank you. Well, actually now, so thanks so everyone for adding doing the responses, we now got 133. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to find out, if people are saving any resources. So basically the first question, are you working from home, enjoying it? Yes, 67.7% are saying they enjoy working from home, and only 4.5%, so only 6 are saying they don't. But obviously there was quite a few, that actually wanted to work from home before COVID. So actually there was 10% that wanted to work from home before, but they were not allowed, which not surprised about. But and there was nearly 20% that were not working from home. There's quite a few people that have said that they are more productive. So it's 52.2% that they are more productive, and 13.4% said that they are the same. So that was interesting, because there's a lot of people that say that, oh, you're not productive if you're working from home, but you have different distractions. I did want to find out what people were doing more of now that they're working from home. And there's a really high percentage of people that are obviously looking after themselves. So 64% are actually doing cooking, followed by spending more time with family and close friends, obviously, because you're not allowed to see that many people. But there's still also people looking after themselves. So we had 64% cooking, and 56% are doing exercise, which is great. So these are the things that I think a lot of people don't do when they're spending those 3 hours a day commuting. It's really easy to gain weight, and it's great.
Yeah, unfortunately, I used to be able to cycle to my office, so now I can't. I literally have to get up and cycle around the block just so I can get some exercise before I start work. But of course I don't. I just have another cup of coffee and then lie in. So hence the stomach. It's not going the right way, guys. It's not going the right way. But anyway, it's good to see that people are making use of that work-life balance and improving their work-life balance, rather than working for the man or the woman, all hours God sends, and not switching off. But I imagine that switching off is more of a challenge for some people in a remote environment. What about you guys as experienced? You don't find it difficult to switch off, or do you?
Well, as the business owner,
and we all are, I suppose,
24/7. What I have started doing is, so I've lost weight during lockdown. I go to the gym 3 times a week. I play tennis once a week.
I thought we closed the gyms.
Well, I have a personal trainer that comes to my back garden. I didn't want to. Bloody hell, Dixon! Come on.
You got to push. You got to push for the facts, mate. Just the facts,
So, I put this down to the extra time that I have not messing about getting to and from work, and just having more. I also think that where myself as a business owner that employs people that now work remotely has benefited, is sometimes I think I used to feel secret guilt that I had 20 people in an office while I'm sat drinking cocktails with Aleyda and Dixon in Brighton. So, and Joe, of course, sorry, Joe. So there is an argument that I feel mentally released somewhat now that I know that my whole organization is reaping the rewards of being based online, and that we can all just be based drinking cocktails in Brighton with our friends.
Well, maybe I should be asking not the 4 in this room, but I should be asking the panelists, the attendees. Do you guys? Most of you look like you run your own stuff anyway. A lot of you do there, the ones I know. But do you think that there are employees that find it hard to switch on? I mean, there's the problem is when you're working at home, you can be thinking about the kids or the dog or the other bits and pieces, and there's nothing to stop you from switching off onto not such important stuff. So how are you going to manage people's and expect people to spend those 8 hours however they may want to? How do you get any reassurance that they are spending the right amount of time? How do you measure success or measure objectives and key results, if you like, of remote workers? Well, I'll go Aleyda or Joe.
I think this is the beauty of our work, right? That we actually need to deliver actions to our clients. We need to also achieve specific results in their SEO processes or PPCs. And a lot of our teams, right? They are also involved and are responsible for them, right? So if this is the thing, I think that we should be necessarily mindful. Oh, do they start exactly at 9 a.m. sharp, or do they finish at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. or no? Are they continuing to achieve the results that we had set for the account or for the client or for the project? As long as they are productive and achieving the expected results, it's more than fine, right? This is what we do for a living, like achieving specific results from an SEO perspective, and managing the clients. And if the clients are happy, then it's more than fine. Client happy, achieving results, it's all great, right? Then on the other hand, about also taking care of people balance, because what Joe said, what the results that you have gotten in your survey is not necessarily as different as the trends that we have been seeing year over year of remote work. The main challenges usually are unplugging after work, loneliness, and then communication and collaboration challenges with bigger teams, right, that are across different time zones. So realistically, I think it is super important that companies and organizations provide clear guidelines to employees saying, look, please do little breaks every time after a couple of hours, 5-minute breaks, 10 minutes breaks, because honestly, and give also the typical type of resources for people to be able to keep productive and have this type of disconnection too. Like, for example, I follow the Pomodoro technique, which is amazing to keep productivity while also disconnecting a bit with breaks too. And then the tip of Joe, I think this is critical, having a specific area of your home. So for example, I have a whole room as a home office, right? So it's really easy for me. Whenever I start working, I enter to the room, and then I know that at 6 p.m. I shouldn't be tempted to take my laptop with me, but leave it here and I leave work, right? If you are not able to do this because you don't have enough a home office, right? At least allocate a certain space at home, even in your living room. And you know that when you take out or you move on from that space, you are moving on from work, and you shouldn't be keeping or shouldn't be bringing the job with you. That is a big risk to keep bring the laptop and start keeping working while you watch the TV, for example. Yeah.
Okay, so there's sorry, Joe, do you want to just add anything in there?
I just wanted to say, yes, I agree with Aleyda about saying like it should be the results that matter, but I know that there's very traditional companies that are just like, okay, well, I need to know this, this, and this. So I would say use task management systems. So you can use Asana, you can use Trello. There's a lot of agencies, and it's fine, that use timesheets. I think it's just to be transparent. So if something is taking you a long time, I think you should be clear and say, well, this is how much time it's taken. So you're not measured on, well, you said you do, I don't know, whatever it was, and you didn't do it, or it took you a long time. So I think...
so you don't mind if you're asked to provide a timesheet as a remote worker?
No, I think it's just, it depends on how the company works. We used to have to do our timesheets anyway, otherwise we wouldn't get paid when we worked agency side. So it's just a way of not over-servicing. Really just...
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to keep. I've got to load through, and I try and do this in 45 minutes, and no, it's great. I love it, but I kind of need to sort of kind of move it all through. So sorry. In fact, Joe, I'm sorry. Finish what you were saying.
The point was just to say, like, if you don't have that trust, which some companies don't have because they're not used to remote working, then just to be able to show what employers are doing, then just do project management, use project management tools, and also keep the communication open. Have your regular meetings with your team members, but try not to just have meetings for the sake of it. Have clear agendas and objectives.
Okay. The reason I went down that route is because Topher had asked, how can you respectfully handle remote folks that seem to never want to turn on the camera and do face-to-face with managers? And should that be something that's mandatory? I think that's an interesting question, because what it's alluding to is what I was trying to get to underneath, of not necessarily the people that I think like us who are pretty fanatical about work. It's getting to the people who are working because they have to work to earn a living, and then if they could not work forever in a day, they'd happily do that. And therefore, perhaps they are not approaching remote working with the same expectation or enthusiasm. So the question is, should you turn on your camera when you have a face-to-face meeting?
I think 100% yes. You wouldn't sit in a boardroom with me with a bag on your head, would you? So why, if we're, the whole point, we might as well have a phone call if we're not going to turn videos on. And it's, I don't know, like, it just seems like if we were going to draw up an etiquette guide to video calls, well, I kind of want to see your eyes. And so my biggest fear of remote working is losing my team culture. I think we have to look at each other if we're talking. So we have an open Zoom room all day that people can just drop into. Turn your bloody video on, surely. You know, so I mean, I don't think whether we could make it a requirement, I'm not sure. But I think as a matter of manners, then yeah, you should turn your camera on.
Okay. Brilliant. So answer is yes, mandatory visual. Okay, right. So Aleyda, I mean, Remoters.net has been running for, as you say, several years, but it just exploded at COVID, no doubt. And so my question is, what is it that's grabbing people on Remoters.net? You've got a lot of content up there. And if you go back to your Google Analytics, and if you want to share your screen, you can, if I can press the right buttons. But what is it that people are going to and looking at on Remoters.net?
Indeed. So, for example, in January, we had 55,000 sessions. In February, 48,000 sessions. In March, it jumped to 73,000. Wow. And in July, it has kept up like this, and now in July we had 76,000 sessions in the month. And then of course the pages that just to get more traffic, not only organic but direct, of people going to check is the jobs section, the job board. And we had in July more than 100 jobs uploaded, which is good. I have to say that it has been very obvious, also the increase of jobs that are being uploaded in June and July. Unfortunately, for example, in March and also early April, even if the website had increased a lot of the traffic from people looking for jobs, right? Especially, we could see on the other hand that there were not that many companies publishing job adverts. So you could see that people were not hiring, unfortunately, right? However, it's nice to see how in July that's completely different. And we have also much more diversity of the type of roles that are being hired. It's important to clarify this because usually when I have conversations before COVID, right, with people, and they assume that the type of jobs that were being hired remotely, these were low skill type of jobs, VAs, programming, copywriter, things like that, but also very digital oriented. But no, more and more, we can see operations manager, human resources manager, not sales people, right? Not necessarily digital or technological or even low skill type of jobs. All sort of jobs are being hired remotely right now.
Okay. So it's the jobs board is the big bit there. Sorry, did you guys want to jump in with anything there? So in there, I mean, I'm interested, to see what it is that's really grabbing, the audiences, the remote workers and what they're trying to find.
I mean, the fact that I am not surprised the job board is exploding. For me, the most exciting thing about remote working is that my growth of my business has always been tethered by trying to get people to 10 miles south of Manchester city centre. Now I can recruit people from around the world, but I want to cover US from a customer service point of view. I just hire a PPC or an SEO exec in the US that can speak to customers. All of a sudden, I've got 16 hours of phone support covered. This is exciting, guys. I can't wait to be my next hiring spree. As long as it's not because people have left, as long as it's because of business growth. But, yeah.
So, I mean, Gareth, you've managed those remote teams, big remote teams. So, how do people react to instructions over a video, or a Skype call, or whatever tool you're using? Do you feel, do you feel they put in the hours automatically? Do you think they work harder or not as hard working from home? And how do you know? How do you know if they're doing their job? And I know people say if the work gets done.
Well, yeah, so you're using attendance as a measurement. I don't use attendance as a measurement.
Oh, I'm throwing out what measurements are you using then?
Output. So if I take a very specific example, I employ a gentleman called James. He's a link builder. James's job is to deliver the links that I sell. Not all of them. You'll be glad to know I sell more than one person's worth. So James's job is dictated by me. If I don't sell any links, he hasn't got any work to do. So what do I want him to do? Just sit at his desktop twiddling his thumbs? Go and enjoy your day. But be aware that next month I might sell 50 more. And then I expect you to be able to work that into your monthly workload. So and when does James work?
Who cares when he works? Is James working full time for you, as far as you're aware?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So he's a full-time salary, gets a pension, gets everything else. But his KPI is, are there any late tickets? Because if there are no late tickets, he's done his job. Why would I care when he does it, where he does it, how he does it? Well, I kind of care about how he does it, but the other two, it does it matter?
Joe, have you found it the other way around, where you've been getting instructed to do stuff, and the instructions that are coming from your remote manager, so to speak, are entirely unreasonable?
So I would say there was a time when I was working for a 100% remote only company, not who I'm currently working for now, and it was the manager, the owner of the company, that had no idea how to run PPC, for example. And so the instructions were that you needed to convert this page, and it had to be measured on 3 days of running a PPC campaign with very minimal budget. So in that case, I would say that it was from lack of understanding of the manager, and also he put a lot of unrealistic expectations. I think if you're working remotely and you have a good manager and someone that actually understands the work that they're doing, and they treat their staff with respect, then it's great to do remote working. I think you only come across issues in remote working if there's not a mutual respect. So maybe the employee, just as you were saying before, Dixon, maybe he's or she is just, I just want to get paid. I don't want to do that much work. But you would find that issue anyway in the office. You would see the same attitude. So it's about trying to recognize the attitude. And what I do hope will happen now that there is, the opportunity to have more remote work, that people will get paid still what they should. So I know, Gareth, you were talking about maybe there might be a shift to hire people, and maybe other countries is maybe the overall wage is less. I really hope that doesn't happen, because you should get paid the sort of what you should get paid based on your skill, because there are many people that can't afford to travel or don't have the visa requirement to live in a country where they may get paid a wage that they really want to. And just because you happen to have a certain passport, you're able to work in that country. So I really hope that with this remote working, the money that people save, instead of spending all that money on rent, will actually invest in, as Gareth, you have done to your employees, give them a remote working allowance, and also pay people what they should get paid. Not just, oh, you're in a cheaper country, we'll pay you a cheaper rate.
I think that you touch a really, really important point. Also, again, Joe, for example, the companies or startups, especially that have been historically remote first, they have really good protocols about this. For example, they have this base type of amount that they pay to their employees based on their roles and positions, and of course what they bring to the table from the work perspective. And then they had certain percentages of money that they will pay additionally based on where they live. Because, for example, if you live in New York or San Francisco or very expensive places, you will need a little bit more to maintain yourself, and that is great. Instead of having this other type of views or mindset that you see sometimes coming up now, or trying to take advantage of remote work to pay far less, 1/3 to someone who lives in Latin America or in Asia to what you will pay to someone European, right? That is not fair, and it's trying to take advantage of the situation, right? So it's about being reasonable, having good principles, having good protocols, starting with what you pay to people, indeed.
Cool. Okay, right, guys, we're already nearly at time. So, you know, I told you it was going to go fast. So, you know, but then you guys have been on so many of these, you know, these things go fast anyway. But I can see that we've got a pretty educated bunch in the chat room here. So if any of you do want to be on a future panel, I'm going to put a link to a form there as well. So just drop me a line and let me know, you know, if you'd like to be on a future panel. It'd be great to have you guys in. The more broad my group, and the more broad my group of guests, the better, I think, and the more entertaining these things get to be. Thanks again to Majestic for sponsoring the webinar. Obviously, get everybody on the link training course at Brighton SEO. The one that I'm on, the one that I'm running, the free one, not the paid one. You don't need to do that one, you know. Gareth Simpson, you don't need to do that. That's fine. Also, guys, before you go, is there any last words you'd like to say, apart from the fact there's a Corona Pub search quiz tomorrow, and look up the Corona Pub and find it if you want to join in. Aleyda, Joe, Gareth, some last goodbyes and where people can find you from.
Aleyda. Sorry, right. Go Aleyda. Go on, Aleyda.
Well, find me in Remoters. Remoters hopefully will allow you, if you want to, you know, keep working remotely. If in case you have a company right now like requiring to go back to the office and you don't want to, we are publishing continuously new jobs adverts, and hopefully you'll be able to find something there. Also, there are a lot of how-tos, a lot of tips regarding how to be able to work remotely in an effective and balanced way, in a positive way that is good for you too. So hopefully you will find any tip there. And if there is something that you cannot find there, please do let me know over Twitter. I'm very active in Twitter. @Aleyda is my handle. Just let me know over there, and I'll be more than happy to help you with anything remote too.
So just to clarify, Remoters takes guest posts?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, but they don't follow any links from you. I don't know. I'm sure you could do a good post, mate. Isn't it?
We can talk, Gareth. Don't worry.
Okay. Any last words from Gareth or Joe?
Just embrace this new way of working, guys. You have got your freedom back.
Oh God, I've never heard him be so wise. Joe?
I would just say, well, I'm on SEO Joe Blogs on Twitter, so please connect with me there. I would say that just really try and take a break from work, and to really try and make sure you have a nice work-life balance. So don't try and think I need to do all these things and have a massive checklist. I think just use the time wisely, and just remember that because you can't get back time, you can always make more money.
That's brilliant. Okay, guys, so thank you very much. We're going to do the same thing next month, around about the first Wednesday of the month. That's where I'm aiming for. If you come back in then, that'd be great. And if you want to see the recording of this or tell people about it, it'll be on blog.majestic.com within 48 hours, I'd say. So that's great. Thanks very much, guys. Just so you know, when I end the Zoom call, it all dies, and I'll email you and say thank you directly afterwards. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you very much, Dixon.
Thanks for your time. Cheers. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.